everybody. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about personal growth and the growth of your business. I would like to introduce Harish, a very accomplished entrepreneur and also the founder of Partem Education. Welcome.
Thank you, Annemiek. And I would like to introduce Annemiek to you. Annemiek is a budding, dynamic entrepreneur. I can't call it budding anymore because she has 3 businesses under her belt already. At a very young age, she's explored the realms of growth, realms of being an entrepreneur and being a business person. And keeping this in mind, the growth brings me to the topic that I would like to talk to you about, Annemiek, today. What do you think is growth? What is your opinion? I mean, what is your definition?
Well, of course, growth is a very broad topic, but for me, growth is improving yourself and your goals every day towards the right end goal. Of course, you need to look at yourself every day and say, what can I improve? What can I do better? And is it actually moving in the right direction? Because we're not always sure of that. Sometimes we need to adjust our goals, but also growth needs to feel good. But it doesn't always occur by being comfortable, though. That's growth for me.
Very true, very true. For me, the other day I was just thinking about this topic. For me, I think when I talk about growth or when I think about growth, I believe it's evolution. You evolve from one stage to the next. The reason is very simple. If you need to be successful at anything, I believe you need to reinvent yourself. I mean, I would even go that far and say re-innovate yourself. Why? Because what brought you here is not going to get you to the next level. So for me, growth is the moment you hit this plateau, how are you going to evolve so that you can get to the next plateau?
Yeah, that sounds very logical. That would mean and require some investment.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Do you have any advice about investment and how you should focus your resources on that?
See, the thing is, investments, there are 2 kinds of investments. Let's say not 2 kinds of investments, there are 2 levels of investments. For anything, for any growth, you need investment. But what does investment mean? For me, investing in yourself comes first, because if you invest in yourself, you make a fortune.
Yeah, I agree.
So, so I would always look at investments in 2 angles. One is the investments in yourself, and the second one is the investments in your business, the capital that the equity that you're building around you. Around whatever you do, like real estate properties, disposable shares income, shares securities, transacting in shares and securities, buying up businesses. That is one kind of investment. But the most important investment for me would be personal investment, because like Jim Rohn always says, if you work hard at your job, you make a living. You work hard on yourself, you make a fortune.
Very well said, thank you.
And what is your opinion about investment? What do you think?
Well, as a young investor, I'm really learning a lot about this topic. For me, if I look at the end game of investing, I need to realize for myself and make the notion to myself that investment will ask you different questions. You can invest on an emotional basis, and that is, oh, that sounds great, that sounds like fun, what a good idea.
I actually wanted to talk to you about the emotional part.
I had some challenges in that area. You only go for, yes, this feels good. But on the other side, the business side needs to account for your time and efforts and money also.
Absolutely.
And that sometimes is challenging, because if you're an enthusiastic person like myself, then you say, yes, that sounds great, let's do it. You'll start running before you even think about the business model behind it, because you're convinced you will make it work.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's not always a bad thing, but I learned to balance those things out more, and also realize that I cannot do everything by myself. I need help and I need advice at some points, making business decisions,
Yeah.
such as investing.
Yeah, yeah. Coming back to the emotional this thing, because the trend that I've seen with you, and we've discussed this in the past also a lot. You like to invest when you're emotionally invested, which is the best thing possible, because if you're not emotionally invested in something, it's not going to be a success.
Yes.
When you invest, is it just after the emotions? Do you actually at any given point take a step back and look at the situation from
Not
a
at
different
all.
perspective?
No, to be very honest, I jumped in because I grew up thinking I always wanted to shop. So that was the only thing I could see then. But then I had to make it work with my business partner, of course. And then I started doing things along the way, which turned out great.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, if I were to make an investment in another business right now, I would take the more practical route. Not because I like the practical route more,
No.
not at all,
No.
even.
No.
But I think if I want to manage different things and keep all the balls in the air in the right way, I will have to make more rational decisions and not just emotional decisions.
Personal investment. Talk to me, tell me something about personal investment, because I know that you listen to you watch a lot of documentaries.
Yes.
You know, like how I read books. And I also know that you started reading a book a week. By the way,
Yes.
congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
Book a week. Tell me, why do you do documentaries? It is a interesting concept.
Yeah. The older I get, the more I know how little I know.
Yeah.
That's the general understanding of things. I always feel that I'm running but after all these things that I need to know. The world is developing so fast, and when you're doing business, you have to know 1,001 things to make sure everything is that you're on top of things. So the one way for me to learn is watching documentaries, developing myself in a general sense of what's going on in the world. That can be from cryptocurrency and blockchain to emotional development. So if I want that information, I'll have to seek it out.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It won't just come to me. You can watch the news, but that doesn't cover everything that's going on in the world. So that means I need to read books, I need to talk to people, I need to watch documentaries. I prefer watching documentaries because it's more passive, so I can still relax a little bit. If you're reading, then you have to be very active. But there are so many other things you can do. You can do courses, you can talk to people who are inspiring to you or have other experience than you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you read a lot, sometimes more than even a book a week.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. My goal for this year is 75 books.
Wow.
And I'm very much on track. Very much on track. Trick is to, I listen to a lot of books now.
Yeah.
That's the latest thing. Books have evolved. Now it's audible.
Yeah.
And thanks to the web, World Wide Web. So I listen to books when I'm driving, up and down. When I'm going anywhere, the audiobook is on, and I try my level best to do one book a week, sometimes even more. I also believe in going to workshops and attending conferences. I have a goal that I would like to invest at least 100 hours every year on workshops and conferences, because that's the fastest way to enhance your learning. What happens is that you go to a conference, first of all, there's a collective consciousness working there. That means there are hundreds of people sitting there along with you. That means everybody is in the same line. That's number one. And there are a bunch of speakers, and the speakers are amazing. Even if they are not as interesting, they know more than you, for sure. That's why they're speaking there. So you tend to compress a lot of information within 2 days or 3 days. Yeah. So I like to do workshops and conferences a lot. And my goals are that for next year, especially, we are doing the budget for next year, and I think I did mention this to you. I'm thinking that we are contemplating a budget of 100,000 guilders. only on training for all our people.
I think that's fantastic, and I think a lot of job interviews requests will be coming in right now.
I hope so.
People want
I
to
hope
work
so.
at Partem.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, talking about goals, how do you set goals for yourself? Because that's an important part of being an entrepreneur. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. What I normally do is I first look at my vision, because that's the biggest goal, but that's also the most distant goal, because the vision is like the North Star.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, from the vision, I work back to a 10-year goal. Okay. For example, in my case, my 10-year goal, I have 2 goals, and one of them is to impact in 10 years, impact the entire universe positively. Yeah. Once I have that goal, what I do is I work back. I work back to 5 years, and then I work back to 3 years, and then I work back to 1 year, 6 months, and on a daily basis. The thing that I'm missing at this moment is the weekly planning and the weekly goals and the monthly goals. I hope one of these days in the future I should be able to get there.
Why is that important?
The weekly and the monthly. See, the thing is, you need to keep your nose in one direction and make sure that all the people around you are also keeping their noses in one direction.
Yes.
If you don't have a goal every week or every month or every day, what happens is you tend to lose sight of the goal, and then you tend to digress. You tend to go this way, you don't tend to go that way. So this is how I would set goals, but I would also make sure that the goals are smart. And I know that you are a great believer in SMART goals. Why don't you explain what is SMART?
Well, for me, goals obviously need to be set.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would get nothing done.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that for
Simple.
me.
Absolutely.
I live by goals. I live by my agenda. People call me a little bit weird sometimes because I have everything organized, and my day never goes as scheduled. Of course, nobody does. But my goals are so short term, of course, but long term, but not always for this day.
Yeah.
That will mean that if my goal is not reached today, maybe tomorrow. I'll plan it for it being reached tomorrow. So if you're gonna set goals, you have to take in account a few things. They need to be specific.
Yeah.
So you need to describe for yourself what is the goal exactly. So not I want to go travel the world. No, I want to travel the world next week, going to these countries. Yeah, so that's a specific goal. Otherwise, you cannot start planning for these countries. Maybe you need visas. Maybe you need to pack a lot of bug spray. I don't know. You need to prepare yourself, and they need to be measurable. If I say I want to take a big trip, how big is that trip? When is it? Is it the big trip? If I fly to Aruba tomorrow, was that my big trip? No.
No.
It has to be measurable for the fact that I can acknowledge that I actually reached my goal. So these are 2 very important things while setting goals, I believe.
Nice.
We both feel very strong that communication is part of our success, right?
Very.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Can you explain?
See, communication for me is all about building bridges and giving back. Giving back to your people. That means I'm a firm believer in giving back, not just to the community. What I say is first take care of the people around you, including yourself. And then, explaining to people how to give back.
Yes.
And we live in Curacao. Having said that, let's get back to the building bridges, because we live in Curacao. For me, my take on the situation is that multicultural island, beautiful island, multicultural. Look at this, 2 very contrasting people sitting here. This can happen only in Curacao.
Yeah.
I have a lot of funny jokes on how there are so many communities and we all end up being a hodgepodge community. But even though it's a fantastic thing, it also brings its own set of problems. One of them is communication. We have our own preconceived notions, and most of the times it's misconceptions about the other community. And I think just before we started this interview, we were talking about it,
Yes.
preconceived notions and misconceptions we have about the people around us. And I believe that I started on the path to success, or path of success, the day I learned how to build bridges between different communities, and learned how to immerse myself in other communities other than my own. Okay, I know that you also came to Curacao, and I know that your friend circle is also very mixed like mine.
Yes.
Why don't you? What is your take on communication?
Well, if I look at communication in general, it makes me feel happy. I like to interact with people.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. If I look at communication in my goals and my business life, or in growth in general, I find it very useful. I think a lot of people are sometimes reluctant, or maybe even a little bit afraid, to tell other people what their needs are, or talk to other people what's on their minds, their hopes, dreams, concerns, all these things. And I have learned from a young age to share all of that. And that is, for me, part where my success started developing. Because when I talk to my concerns with people and I say, well, I'm looking for a new business location for my company, we are running out of space, and somebody on the other side
Bingo.
of the table says, oh, that's great, I have just a space for rent right now. Which otherwise I would have spent maybe days, maybe months or weeks searching for that right location, but it was right in front of me because I'm communicating with people. If I say that I find something difficult or I have trouble understanding something, maybe somebody's willing to explain it to me.
Absolutely.
So by being actually vulnerable or happy or willing to share, you can accomplish a lot of things.
Have you read the book by Brené Brown, Power of Vulnerability?
No, I haven't,
You
but
should.
it sounds great.
You should. I mean, she touches on this topic, and she goes very deep into this topic, and it's a classic book. I mean, especially if you listen to her, she's amazing. She's amazing. Just after the interview, I think I'll give you the. Just before we finish, I would like to ask you, Annemiek, what is the one takeaway that you would like to give to budding entrepreneurs or youngsters who want to make it big? What is the one takeaway? What is the one piece of advice that you think is important?
Well, just one piece is quite difficult, but I think just go for it. Ask help where you think you need help. Talk to people where you think you can be of added value, or other people can be to added value of you. Communicate, go for it, go work on it, and invest in yourself.
Wow.
Well, I would like to have one takeaway from you also, of course.
For me, I would think innovate, reinvent yourself. I mean, innovate. The faster you innovate, the faster you reinvent yourself, the faster you grow. And one of the things that business people, all of us do it in our lives, is we tend to sit back. We are very comfortable in our skins.
Yeah.
Get out of the comfort zone. Get out of the comfort zone, reinvent yourself. Try to be a better version of you. Try to be a better version of you. That's what.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for the pleasant conversation.
Thank
and I hope
you.
to speak to you soon.
Very soon.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.